To make a move like that, you have to have kahunas and conviction.
Long term, I'm bullish. We could see about a 20% correction next year.
This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
Silicon Valley Bank fails miserably. I was culling through the data points all night last night to see, is this a rich person's bank? So what you do is you Google call report. If you Google just call report on SVB, you can actually see the Silicon Valley Bank call report. And what you find out is a vast majority of the bank's deposits are 250,000 or more of deposits. So essentially, this is a bank for rich people who don't really need the FDIC, who should know better but are too lazy. And so what they do is they have $30 million with a bank, or they have $20 million with a bank. So if we bail out SVB, this is akin to bailing out just the rich Peter Thiel bankers. Now, I'm sure, you're going to hear from people, oh, my payroll is linked to SVB. Those people are paid by the FDIC. Personally, I think the bank will be sold by Monday. And the FDIC is probably meeting now so that people don't have to worry about what's happening. Is there a risk of contagion? Is there a risk of fear? Yes, this is a big one. But a lot of people are making much ado about this. Now, I'm not saying it's much ado about nothing. I'm not even, I'm just saying, well, let's reserve judgment for a little later. So a lot of banks now, people are worried about their money. Hey, the FDIC has been around since the Great Depression and has protected depositors. This is a large one because it's rich, well-connected people. So we're hearing about it. So I was culling through the data. 1.4 billion in deposits are of bankers who are worth over 250,000 or more. And it's funny, I had somebody to talk to yesterday said, you know what, Josh, I'm not going to go around like my grandmother and have 250,000 in each bank. And I said, well, yeah, you should. I mean, that's a good rule of thumb. Be like your grandma. Make sure you're within the FDIC limits. I mean, it is a problem when you have what's called fractional reserve banking, that every once in a while, people get a little scared. Now, you will see articles like this, why SVB's bank failure is really scary. Larry Kotlikoff, a good friend of mine, writes, our financial system is built to fail. Is it about to fail again? The 40-year-old Silicon Valley Bank, our nation's 16th largest bank, just went poof. This is our nation's second largest ever bank failure, but the pundits are saying not to worry. Consider Catherine Rampell of the Washington Post. She says SVB made dumb decisions, and this is nowhere near the scale of the 2008 financial crisis. I would argue it could be bigger. Here's why. Just Google all of the companies above $1 billion in valuation. Many companies are fueled by private equity today on Silicon Valley. And what they did is they pumped up numbers to get large deposits. Now, this is different than the banking industry. Really, this is a Silicon Valley bank that's failing. It's not the old stodgy banks, the JP Morgans, the Wells Fargos, all the bad guys of the '08 crisis. They're well capitalized. Life insurers, very well capitalized. But why I'm concerned about this is not so much the bank failures, but the risk of contagion on the unicorn companies. By the way, they should probably fail. That's what capitalism is based on. But if you Google 2023 unicorns list. I'm going to break down why people should be concerned. So you get these unicorns, and they're founded by somebody, and the company really has no profit. Then Silicon Valley would raise money to get a multiple. So the founder would be somebody, 25, 35. They have a great idea. They got all these rich people to pool their money, and they need deposits in a bank. So that's sort of what happened with the Silicon Valley Bank. But I don't think it's the banking system. I'm more worried about this kind of M&A unicorn list. So if you look at unicorn startups, this is from January 5th, 2023, wonder how many of these companies will go under. ByteDance, $140 billion company. It's basically Chinese artificial intelligence rivaling Google, TikTok, etc. SpaceX, $127 billion. They're not making anything. Why are they worth $127 billion? Shine, also Chinese, $100 billion. Stripe, U.S. San Francisco-based fintech company, $95 billion. Checkout.com, $40 billion. Canva, $40 billion. How is Canva worth $40 billion? By basically giving away free graphics to rival Adobe. Is it really that? Is that rich of a company? Instacart. Oh, I like Instacart. I use it. That's worth $39 billion. I don't know how they make money. Instacart. Databricks, $38 billion. Revolut, $33 billion. FTX was worth $32 billion. So I'm more worried about the wave of these billion-dollar companies that might go kaput, and then people getting freaked out thinking this is a systemic risk. It is a big risk in Silicon Valley. If people get freaked out and start pulling their money out of institutions linked to Silicon Valley money, it could create a contagion. Something like we saw in '08. I don't see that yet. Let's go through more of these companies. A lot of these, by the way, are Chinese-linked companies. So Xiaohongshu, Chinese e-commerce company. Yuanfudao, I don't speak Chinese, so I may be botching these, $15.5 billion. GoPuff, $15 billion. What is it, a marijuana company? No, it's a supply chain logistics and delivery company. So basically, you get a smart kid, has a great billion-dollar idea. By the way, these are not $1 billion valuations. Every company, Yongqi Senlin of China, consumer and retail, $15 billion. Ripple, which is suing the SEC, and based upon all of the findings of fact in the court case, they basically lied to all these people, but they may be getting away with it. So Ripple, $15 billion mistake. And if somebody says, well, the G8, they're the money of the G8, biggest scam going. So how many of these crypto-linked banks fail? Silicon Valley banks fail? Personally, you're going to hear, the Bernie Sanders of the world soften their tune, because these are people that largely give to Democratic candidacies. They're based in California, a lot of them, or blue states. OpenSea, based in our New York. New York's a blue state. $13.3 billion to sell little internet tokens that are worthless. If I want an NFT, I'll buy a beach house. A beach house is a better NFT. At least you get some rental income, an Airbnb. It's absurd, folks. Plaid, $13.5 billion. Grammarly, $13 billion. Solanas, $13 billion. Devoted Health, $12.6 billion. Fair, $12.5 billion. Brex, $12.3 billion. Goodleap, $12 billion. Are these companies really worth billions? Or was it all a big charade? Just like in the '08 with the banking crisis. But I would argue this is a localized crisis to Silicon Valley. That, a lot of these Depositor institutions could fail. The FDIC needs to come in this weekend and say no one's going to lose their money. Because here's the thing, once rich people start losing their money, you're then going to see all these laws passed. And you'll see this week that with all the rich people, Boston Private was taken over by Silicon Valley Bank. Bitmain, also Chinese, BioSplice, Juul Labs, if you want to puff with an e-cigarette, $12 billion company to damage your lungs. I picked the wrong line of work, people. I should have been involved in coming up with some weird idea because I would have been a good founder. I am a founder of this company where we help people with their money, fiduciary planning advice, Zongmu, auto and transportation, Rippling, San Francisco based internet software, 11 billion, Global Switch, 11 billion, Bolt, 11 billion, KuCoin, worth like 10 billion. These are companies some you've heard of, most you haven't. Obviously people know TikTok, ByteDance, SpaceX, Stripe, Canva, Instacart, Epic Games, but many of these other ones you've never heard of, and they're probably worthless. And they should go under. But what's going to happen is because the founders put their money with these banks, people are going to cry. I get it. It could be very risky what's going on in the world, but that's why you should care about legal reserve institutions.